Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the show where we are watching and discussing the film Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny 3 minutes at a time. My name is Tom Taylor.
I'm another relic on this train, but one without any power. I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm the intern, Gerald Christopher Marcus Porter.
And I'm Pete the retailer.
Hey!
Whoa!
What am I doing here?
Oh, yeah!
We can ask you the same thing. What are we doing
I think I got off at the wrong stop.
The Kool-Aid Man stuff.
Yeah. There's a big Pete-sized hole in the wall.
Yeah. Luckily, it's a
welcome,
Mummert-sized
Pete.
hole in the wall, though. Thanks.
You and your
Thanks for
buddy
having me
Alex were, I think, our, second guests ever on this show? And
Could be.
Yeah. Back in the old days, you basically invented this format, this movies by minute thing. And we thank you and curse you.
We were surprised you even answered the email.
Yeah, that was awfully nice
Yeah.
of you.
So long, yeah, we were even surprised you answered the Friendster request.
That's how long you guys were like, someday there's going to be a new Indiana Jones movie. We want to lock you into minute 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad because, it's hard for me to be scheduled these days, but it just, I think, maybe from, our side project that shall not be named right now, Tom and I, he understands my scheduling a little bit better, so he specifically said, how about this time? And
See?
it
Sometimes
worked.
it works.
There I am.
Nice.
And I gave you every chance to say no.
That's true.
I hope you appreciated that. I begged you to say no. Now look where we are. Well, no, we're glad you're here. We're glad we're all here to discuss minutes 13 through 15 of Dial of Destiny. I'm still getting used to saying that. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue. But
I
it
still
will.
say Dial of Density.
Sure. Yeah.
Dial of Doom. So that sounds nice.
Wow.
But these minutes begin with Fuller finishing telling Weber that there's an artifact on the train with real power, the Antikythera. What's the Antikythera? Fuller has half of it, and he says it works on math and that whoever possesses it will be God. Weber mocks the idea of going to Hitler with half a calculator for speaking to God, and then learns that there's a saboteur on board, and that saboteur is Indy, who is busy eluding Nazis elsewhere on the train until he is finally reunited with his hat and with Baz. And then the minutes end with Indy annoyed that he has to interrupt stopping the Nazi train to rescue his friend. And we first see Baz at the beginning of these minutes. He's still tied up in a chair, and he's eavesdropping on Fuller explaining to Weber the whole Antikythera thing, and he's saying, I think it's I'm choosing to say that it's foreshadowing because Baz is in the chair, bouncing around, and as he's falling down, Fuller is saying that Hitler has lost his mind. And we know later, I know that Jerry and Pete, you know this movie by heart. We know later, Baz goes a little nuts later because of the Antikythera. So I'm saying that that's foreshadowing. That's
I like
clever
that.
bit
That's
of-
good.
Yeah.
I thought you meant later when Hitler really does lose his mind, all over the wall of the bunker.
Yes, mine went everywhere. He went
Well,
nuts.
Basil, or is he Baz?
Sure.
Baz.
To his friends.
He falls on the
call him
chair, and it was a little bit one of those Last Crusade things again, right? Hopping about in the chair.
That's true.
Yeah, rope. I will commend them on this. They pull a lot of little things like that out, light callbacks and that sort of thing. There's also lightning. Throughout these few minutes, Baz is sort of, his face is illuminated with lightning, and you're like, oh, that's sort of like when they discover the Well of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. There's lightning going on in the background, and it's illuminating faces, and they they really did a good job on some of those subtle callbacks like that.
Some might say they threw in all these subtle callbacks because they didn't actually have anything in this movie to talk about.
Who would say that?
Yeah, who would say that?
Yeah, who would
They were
say
like,
that?
let's make that Indiana Jones soup again. What are the ingredients? Lightning, chairs.
Chairs.
Fire,
I don't know,
power,
you know,
God, or something?
I've been trying to figure out why this movie just enrages me so much. We are introduced to the Antikythera mechanism right here.
No,
like,
say it.
I don't know how to say it, and
No,
I
say it.
If I can say it, Pete can say it.
All right,
Well,
let's
that's
say
not
it.
necessarily how. That's not how you. That's just how they say it in the movie. I don't know.
Oh.
I just like how Pete kind of rolled over the rapids, and then the raft like fell over.
Yeah. But it to me, like every other Indiana Jones movie, has either a supernatural thing that they're seeking or something that can't be explained. And this one tries to go the route of something that can be explained. And I think it's a lot easier to suspend disbelief when there's either something supernatural or something beyond our understanding. And here they're saying this is just run by math and it's a computer. And I think when you are asked to believe what this thing does, it becomes a lot harder for me to suspend disbelief. And the whole thing just is kind of a house of poorly played cards.
Maybe for some of us, math is outside of our understanding.
That is true. Math is magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I assume. You take two numbers and you turn into other numbers? It's crazy.
But Pete, hang on a second, and I'd offer this up to anybody here. He says, the Antikythera's power is not supernatural. Okay, and then a little bit later on, he says, whoever harnesses it will not be king, nor emperor, nor Führer. He will be God.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, hold up. That sounds supernatural.
Or maybe he's just the ultimate math nerd. He knows that whoever
Yeah,
harnesses math will be a god.
I feel like that's a throwaway line that says we need something that sounds Indiana Jonesy.
Right.
Well, I don't know. There's something sort of subtle happening here that I agree, Pete, that it's like it's a notable thing to say. Like, this isn't out of superstitious hocus pocus or anything. This is just good old fashioned math that a Greek figured out. But it's interesting that these are like two Nazis saying this to each other, and it almost sounds like, now look, before you get mad at me, this isn't one of Hitler's nutball, arc, grail, whatever things, lance of whatever. This is just good old fashioned math. This is like an actually powerful thing that you don't have to like believe in something for it to work. It's actually going to work. Trust me. It's like I kind of like that about it, that it's like, you and me, we understand each other. That Hitler's gone to nuts. But we
He's
don't have to be
covering
nuts.
his tracks. He's like, no, it's cool, guys. It's math. It's just math.
Yeah,
it's not magic. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's math.
Here's the thing that bothers me, I think, so much, is that it is the real thing is about math. The real mechanism is incredible. It's actually it's an incredible piece of scientific engineering. And when they found it, like originally it was believed that this was like anachronistic, that it couldn't have been found in this Roman cargo shipwreck in 1900 because it was too sophisticated. The technology was too advanced.
Right.
And it wasn't. Like, it actually was like this amazing device built, it was basically, I think, an orrery that tracked the movement of the planets and would predict when the Olympic Games were going to be and eclipses and all kinds of like amazing.
I can predict when the Olympic Games are going to be.
Well, you're God.
It was also going to predict who won. And it was an interesting
Oh,
kind of combination.
It's like
a
that
sports
octopus.
almanac.
Yeah. But it I think part of what bothers me is that there was so much sophisticated, amazing stuff, and that most people don't think about it. Like, there was a guy that lived at the same time as this called Hero of Alexandria, and he invented all these incredible, like, complex mechanisms, like about the same time as this, like maybe 200 BCE. And he made like the first vending machine where he'd put a coin in the slot and it would dispense holy water, or he made like a steam engine.
Hang on a second.
Hang on. I do remember a specific thing from the New Testament where Jesus was not into that kind of thing.
Well, no, but he made like these incredible automata and like these super crazy complex. They were basically robots, and they had all kinds of gears, and they like. There's a lot of surmising that when you would go into an ancient temple and say, you'd see Diana in the temple or something, and you'd put an offering in the thing, and it would be like this giant clockwork mechanism, and Diana would like turn to you, or she would move, or she would say something, and they would have like speech pipes that they would blow wind through, and it would sound like she was speaking. And so they think that a lot of these things that people thought were supernatural occurrences may have been crazy technological contraptions. And to me, I see these things and I think this is so much better as a story than what they're telling in this movie. Like there's so much amazing human potential and ingenuity and creativity.
But for an Indiana Jones movie, don't they have to like tweak that at least a little bit and make it?
But I think to me, then choose something that's not that. Choose something like
you could easily have kind of extrapolated and just made something that's kind of like this real world mechanism, but not, but like a mythical thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like made like, call it the like, I don't know, the Macronarker's device, you know what I mean? And like, but like make it, obviously it's an allusion to, it's like kind of, you're kind of, based on a true story of this actual real world mechanism, but make it slightly fictional so that you have that leeway to do, you can make it kind of more mystical and not have it be like, because I do, as much as this movie doesn't bother me, I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. It's like a good, it's like a B. But, sorry, we don't rate things by letters here.
You're thinking of that other shit.
But like it. One thing that did bother me is like, that's just like a thing that I've read about that, it's like, and it doesn't really have the mystical kind of grandeur that the other, that the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant or
well, that's it. Like when you watch all of the other three movies, you finish watching the movie, you're like, oh my God, I want to learn everything about the Ark of the Covenant. I want to see wow, that was great. You watch, well, maybe not as much with Temple of Doom, but you hear about these things, you're like, oh my God, that's incredible. But I don't hear a lot of people like, oh my God, I got to learn about the Antikythera mechanism. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they didn't sell it. I don't know.
Did they sell it? Did they make ones that you could buy? Probably. Like, did they make like
somebody's probably working on it? Yeah.
Hasbro Select?
It is weird because we've got like, when we were talking about Crystal Skull, the whole thing was like, okay, we've had all these supernatural, historic artifacts in these other movies, and now we've got like aliens from beyond time or whatever it was, and now we have like, okay, a strictly human-made device that has these kind of not magical but so advanced properties that it'll knock your head off.
Crystal, it seems like both of these, they're just like, instead of going for like what's like a mythological kind of modern or what's something that's kind of, magical and spiritual in our world. And instead, like the last two, they were just like, what's something from the like Time Life Mysteries of the Unknown books that we can make a movie about?
Those were better than
those were Indiana Jones meets Dracula.
I did too.
Okay. Well, let me ask Pete the retailer this specifically. So about math, we're like, Tommy, you said this is a man-made thing. I mean, do you think they could have leaned into this sort of like, I don't know, like math as a gift from the cosmos? It's what one of those questions like, did we invent math, or
did we discover math?
Yeah, did we discover math? Is math just like a gift? One of those things that you learn about it, you discover it, and then you can kind of piece together the cosmos like a puzzle, almost like a gift. I mean, could they have leaned into that more, and would that have felt more supernatural? Kind of like the Crystal Skull dimensions, intradimension thing.
Right.
I mean, do you think they should have done a better job, or do you even think they could have done a better job, or should they scrap the whole thing altogether and be like, nah, let's just get like the Lance of Longinus or
The Lance of Linus.
Yes.
He goes everywhere.
So they've stuck with something, Holy Grail adjacent.
Yeah, I mean, I think that make it something more mystical, even if it's something you're inventing. I think kind of, leaning into the math being a kind of mystical concept would like exacerbate the problem. It would like, double down on, it's like, oh no, like you're making something kind of real world into trying to make that the magic item here, whereas the magic item from the original trilogy, if you will. That sounds weird saying it in this context, but
Right.
like those are all more kind of like, oh, these are religious items, therefore it has a certain kind of, we accept religious mysticism, magic kind of in our world to some extent, and versus like, oh, here these are just things that people found that we're saying now are magical items,
Yeah.
but they're just kind of,
And they did play super fast and loose with the Sankara stones.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's and they didn't even call them. Remember, they were Sankara stones and Shankara stones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They didn't. It was I think it was kind of like Pete. Say it. 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 Antikythera.
Yeah.
I agree that this is kind of like Oriana in the last movie, where we had like an actual historical figure who they went all nuts with his story and went, "Why didn't you just make up a conquistador?"
Yeah.
And then people couldn't be like, "Hey, wait, that's not what happened."
Right.
So yeah, it could have been smart to have something like this device, but there's not specifically this device. But aside from that, I do actually like. I'm on the side of this thing, of the idea of taking a different kind of ancient thing that is not mystical, but is like not beyond our understanding, but could, with a little twist, have these almost magical properties that make you go back in time and meet Archimedes.
And you could even, say, like, you can reference this, and get the theory. You can be like, oh, yeah, we have this thing, and it's like, have you heard of this? The Ankith mechanism. It's like that, but like that was just like a, like a beginner's kit. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. This crazy thing, or this, that they tried to mimic the properties of this thing.
Yeah.
Something like that, where you can make a reference to it to
Yeah.
kind of tie it to a real world thing which is obviously what you want to do here, but then make it this other, device that only kind of, arcane scholars would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Archimedes turns out to be the really stupid, like, tutor or, a pupil of this much more brilliant guy who took his idea and made it into something actually kind of magical.
I do have to say, there's an extraordinary relationship, I think, between Fuller and the colonel here. Like when he's telling an SS colonel the Fuhrer's lost the war and his mind. Like a lot of people got shot in Germany for saying stuff like that at this stage in the war.
Yeah.
Like that. So they either have like a very close relationship, or Fuller's just pretty wild with what he says.
Yeah, he might. I don't get this sense about him in the movie, but it's somebody like this could be like, well, he's a respected, scholar / idea man. We need him on this mission because we're collecting all these relics and everything and stealing them. So he's got some clout, almost like a Belloc or something. Like Belloc's obnoxious to all the Nazis, and they don't slap him around too much.
Are they trying to sell him? I don't remember this movie well enough, but are they trying to sell him as a kind of a decent guy at this point? Like, does he sort of turn later, or is he a bad guy at this point? Do we see him as a bad guy from the beginning?
He's tight with the Nazis, and he doesn't seem to have any problem with that.
Right. It's very kind of Belloc-like, where it's like you understand that he's not just like a mindless evil guy. He's driven by something and has no qualms about dealing with the bad guys.
Yeah.
He might be like an even purer Nazi than these other guys. Like he gets that Hitler's lost it, and he wants him to do better and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not a cultist. He's a
Yeah.
Nazi, a principled Nazi.
When he says, whoever harnesses it will not be king nor emperor nor Führer. Like, is he showing his cards there? Is he like, once
Maybe.
we find the other half of this, like Hitler's a goner?
Yeah. Yeah.
And is he saying like, I mean, it's one of those moments you're like, whoa, was that my inside voice on the outside?
Yeah. I meant to say Tsar. I'm sorry.
I meant to say, well, because he says
the
nor
Führer's
Führer,
great. Yeah.
but he's going to. That's what's kind of interesting is he's proposing that they show this to Hitler. Right, and at the same time, he's sort of alluding that like the Führer won't even matter.
Yeah.
And you almost wonder, is he thinking about himself, or is he like letting?
Oh, I think he's totally thinking about himself.
Yeah. Well,
But
then in a
what
way,
is he thinking about? Why does he think it makes you God? Like, what is it that he think makes you God?
I think Casey knows you can go back in time and adjust anything you'd want. So you could go back in a time and you could like admit Adolf Hitler into art school.
Right. Right. Praise his little.
Yeah, and like
drum.
just change or just like I don't know, like ruin the date that Mr. and Mrs. Hitler went out on, and like just completely disrupt it.
It's totally like he pulls like Mr. Hitler out of the car, like you get your hands off her, like turn.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Run him over with like a horse and buggy sort of thing.
Do you think I should curse?
He'd go into like the polka bar, calls his John Phillip, you got to hear this.
Is your cousin Marvin Sousa?
Oh my gosh! That's one of the best jokes Pete's ever told on this whole podcast. John Phillips, you gotta hear this. My God!
Remember that new use of trumpet you were looking for? Well, listen to this.
And then it's he's walking around with the tuba playing the songs, and then he gets the idea for that.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, walking around with a tuba.
With feathers in your hat. I mean, it does seem like. Oh, go ahead, Pete.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of walking around, Jerry was talking about callbacks. I'm curious if this enraged you, if Indy's tiptoeing enraged you as much as his tiptoeing in Last Crusade enraged you.
Oh, Jerry?
Oh, me?
Both of you were pretty unhappy with the tiptoeing.
Wait, is tiptoeing?
His tiptoeing in Last
He's kind of
Crusade?
tiptoeing through. Yeah, when you even said he did that, and he did the like cartoony tiptoeing when they're in the at Petra at the end.
I have
when they first
zero
show up.
memory of that.
Oh,
Right before the
yeah,
bad penny.
Bad Penny, I got mad at. Yeah.
Oh,
you did
yeah,
get
Bad
bad
Penny.
penny.
Mad at tiptoeing.
That may have
Yeah.
overshadowed your tiptoeing.
The one thing that I can't fully put together if this is completely unrealistic or maybe realistic is like half of the train knows that he's a saboteur, right? Like half. Like, and then he goes into the next car and he's like, it's as if nothing has happened
Yeah.
at all. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's very realistic.
Yeah, there is like an alarm that goes off.
There,
like somebody
that's what's weird is the
sets
guy
off an
pulls
alarm.
the alarm, but
Yeah.
it's like he waits a good like 5 or X number of minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It also seems like a silent alarm. It's just like
Yeah.
flashes red.
Well, because you think that that's going to turn into like chaos and people running to,
Mhm.
but it's not. It just like, flashes a little like blink, blink in the
Yeah.
boss's
Right.
office. But that
Well, like
that shot of him pulling the alarm is a very indie shot. It's
Yeah, it's a very
kind of-
Spielberg shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Like how
What does
cartoony that guy looks.
Yeah.
what does he lock the door with?
Oh, I know the
spear.
answer.
The
to
lance.
this.
Is it-
the lance.
The lance,
Yeah.
but we're not. We don't know that yet.
Okay, it is the lance, right?
Yeah, but
Wait,
we don't know that yet. Like we just see him lock it with something, and then we learn that the lance is fake. And then when we cut back, we see that we see Weber pulls it out.
Yeah.
It's the lance.
Within these
Well,
minutes.
we knew
Right.
that it was fake already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess we didn't know. You're right. We didn't.
But
know.
okay, I have two questions then.
I mean, we knew that it was fake because we're viewers who know that,
Yeah.
it's a prop.
We're non-believers.
Yeah.
We're godless monsters.
Well, Indy knows it's fake.
Indy knows it's fake, and Fuller knows it's fake
Yeah.
Yeah.
since the last minute.
And Weber
Or
seems to
so.
know it's fake.
Yeah, but I don't. Where does Indy have that before he sticks it in the door? Like his hand, I don't see him carrying anything.
It's like
Right
it's in
before
his
he does
pants. It's the lance in his pants.
That's not his lance, Jerry.
Um,
And also, why is it?
That's fake too.
Are we really not supposed to know that that's the lance though when he puts it in?
I don't know if
I
there are-
agree that you can't recognize it as the lance,
Yeah.
but then is that supposed to be a gag when you realize that it's the lance?
To me, it felt like a gag.
a little bit, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it gets like that. It gets its own shot in minute 15 or whatever. That it's like,
I
oh,
guess
and,
so.
and here's the
Right.
lance. He used it and it was like, wah wah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
I'll go with it.
it's very improvisational, and that's Indy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't. I mean, at this point, knowing it's fake, he doesn't care about it. I mean, he literally put it to good use.
Yeah.
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 No,
so-
that's good. I like that. There's
Yeah.
some good stuff in these minutes.
There really, I said I think last episode that Weber had his just flat, honest, almost refreshing reaction to hearing that the lance was fake. He just kind of
Yeah.
like all the color goes out of his face. He's like, we're dead. And, and he's like, it's like, oh my, like it's not like pussyfooting around what kind of a man Hitler is.
Right.
And here he does it again. He's like, have you met Hitler?
That's such a great line.
It's a really great line.
That whole line is fantastic.
Yeah, there's like nothing. There's none of like this gentlemanly tact about like going to Hitler with bad news or something. He's like, this guy is a berserker. He's going to bite our heads off. We're literally going to be dead if we go to him with this. And I don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
I love it. He says, here's half of something you've never heard of. I feel like
incredible.
that's my life.
Yeah.
That's working.
That's
Indiana
funny.
Jones and half of something you've never heard of. That's the,
Yeah.
It's like every time I go into a Verizon store.
Yeah.
I like. I was disappointed in that one of the websites that I go to for looking at who people are and what movies. It was offline for a while. I'm not going to name it by name because I don't want everybody going there because I don't want it to shut down. But like I think we were talking about the other day that is Yarn still down? Did Yarn go down?
I think
completely?
it's back up.
All
I
right.
meant to tell you. Yeah.
Well, it's like that,
gonna
and
be
then it's
okay.
like, well, I can't talk about this too much because I don't want everybody going here because
Don't ruin a good
can't
thing.
have good things. But they came back in a kind of different format, and I'm not as into it, but I was able to use it to do what I love to do, which is just to click on the people and figure out what else they were in. And I realized that this is a double universe Nazi thing. There could be a little crossover here almost because you've got Toby Jones, who is not only Baz in this, but he's Arnim Zola in Captain America in the
Yes.
Marvel universe. And you've got Thomas Kretschmann, who's I forget, you just said the name of the
Weber.
Weber,
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
Baron von Strucker in the Captain America in the Marvel
Yeah.
universe. And so you've got like two Nazi villains here.
Yeah.
You could create something. It was giving me Marvel Nazi vibes. Which sounds
All
like a
I
bad
wanted
thing, but-
before this movie came out, I kept saying that people would be like, okay, what's it going to be? Like, what's the MacGuffin going to be for Indy 5? And I'm like, please just let it be Thor's hammer. Please just let's have an Indiana Jones Marvel crossover. How fun would that be? And maybe they almost wanted to do that, and they rallied some actors, and it didn't quite happen.
No.
But okay. I'll take what I can get.
Speaking of taking what you can get, does the Colonel grab Indy's gun? Is that Indy's gun that he takes?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Yeah, it might be. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
He just grabs
He
that,
does grab
that
a
gun
gun.
off the table.
Is that why Indy says, "What the hell" when he sees this stuff there, or is he?
I think he's just like surprised at we're doing this in the plot. I'm just walking into the room and my stuff is here on the desk.
Here's Marion.
I actually thought he was surprised. I thought he was bemused that the hat didn't get enough fanfare when he walked in. Like there wasn't like a swell of the orchestra. It didn't magically fly into his
Where's my
hand or anything when he
leitmotif?
entered
What
the
the
room.
hell?
It did get a tiny, like.
Yeah.
I mean, you
I
have
have
to
to
get that. There's
I
lots
have
of
to
precedent.
say
That
that
was Marvin Souza still like.
I actually like that. That took a lot of guts to film it and do it that way, where he picks up his hat and he's like, "What the hell?"
Stupid
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that took a lot of.
I like that line,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did. There's a lot of guts to do it, like a sort of this, this I don't know, like a anticlimactic, deflating thing.
Yeah.
Maybe he left it with Baz, assuming that Baz would get murdered in the woods, and he's like, "I'll never have to wear this hat again. I'm finally free." And oh, Baz is here, and my hat is here.
For years, he's been trying to like, what about the new Indiana Jones? And he's got like different looks, and they're all like, wear the hat and the leather jacket again. Use the whip. And he's like, oh, okay.
It's 1960 something. Just let me change it up a little bit.
Guys, what about my jumpsuit, my skin tight bodysuit with a lightning bolt on it? I'm like, oh,
Come
well.
on! Look at the way the legs flare at the end. It's fantastic.
He's he. I don't know if he's talking about his hat. Maybe he's talking about like all the little math paraphernalia stuff that's on the table, and he's kind of talking about the MacGuffin there. He's like, "What the hell? It's math."
It's math.
There's
this
that
time?
picture of Marion.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe.
Gosh, that's crazy.
I mean, I think literally the what the hell is he doesn't know that Baz is there, and he knows that bag was with Baz. So I think he's like, how did
Oh,
my
yeah.
bag? Like, I think it's literally just how did my bag get here? And then he
I have a bag just like that. Wait a minute.
weird.
Well, it looks at my hat too.
Everything's a fake on this train. They got a fake hat of mine. They got a fake protractor.
Yeah, I had forgotten about. Like I said, I liked the movie. I totally forgot about the digitally young Indy parts
Yeah.
until I clicked back to watch this. I was like, oh yeah, right.
How did that work
does it-
for you?
Take you out? Yeah. Does it take you out of the movie, or do you like it?
It works like 90% of the time, I think.
Hmm.
There are times where it's like it does look a little off, and that's when I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm taken out of it just slightly. But then there's other times where it's fairly seamless, and I'm like, oh okay. I start to forget about it, and then there's like one shot where it just looks a little plastic or something, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've been complaining about it the most on the show so far, but in these last few minutes, it seemed pretty solid.
I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, I think it didn't take me out of it too much.
And there's no, I mean, I can't, because I know that it's fake, I can't just, my reactions to it are probably based on knowing that it's fake. But it does seem like even when it looks visually good, it feels like his face isn't moving like it should or something. Like he's like, 40-year-old Harrison Ford would be doing something a little more with his face or something like that.
Well, because he has unique face movements.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we all do, but like I feel like
Sure.
his are very
Yeah.
unique to him. They're kind of a standout thing.
Mm-hmm. And it was him on the set. He was acting all this stuff, and then they replaced
Right.
his face and stuff. But there is, I feel like there's something stiff to his face or something.
Gonna replace your face.
And again,
The one thing that is a little bit strange to me is his voice.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
literally
what are you
right.
gonna do? I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna have him act it, and I get that. But his voice is sort of lower and gruff, and
Mhm.
I can't explain it. They sound like old vocal cords.
Yeah.
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 I mean they are.
I mean,
Yeah.
that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
I don't.
tangent.
know,
I'm going
it-
to take it
it-
in a tangent. So go finish your thought before I ruin the show.
No. I will say I'll subscribe. Tangents for 500.
Have you guys seen? I don't. I as like all good-hearted people, I'm very kind of suspicious and kind of put off by the rampant use of AI. But have you seen the? Somebody they made Timothy Chalamet as Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra.
Oh my God.
And they replaced her face with Timothy Chalamet's face in it.
Wow.
It works like it's very disturbing in ways that I don't know. So yes, that's we've come a long way in that people can just like for a goof they can do that and have
Yeah.
it fairly convincing, and so it's
Sure.
this kind of
Well,
stuff.
like the
is just gonna
technology, like between when this movie came out and now, is
Yeah.
like night and day. Like
Oh
it's-
yeah.
I mean, we're gonna run into, the Lucas conundrum where it's just like, well, do we change it to make it what we think looks
Yeah.
better now, or
Yeah.
do we let it stand as the charming relic of when it came out?
I think if they updated it every year from now on, like as as the stuff gets better and better, I think we'll be less precious about it. As opposed to like Star Wars getting a makeover when it was like 20 or 30 years old.
Yeah.
I can't wait till Indy's like Baz, and Baz is like McClunky.
And then he shoots them.
Yeah, and then they shoot each other, or one of them shoots him. Yeah.
Well, but Pete the Retailer, do you think
Yes.
that like when you watch an old-timey movie or an older movie and you're like, oh, they're using hot fudge sauce as blood, like does that take you out of it? Are you distracted or no, not at all?
No, I mean there's a fondness for it, and I think maybe it's just
Yeah.
because things that were technology that developed after I was conscious of it is always going to be like, that looks new, and like bad use
Yeah.
of this. Whereas
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I can watch a million Godzilla movies where I'm just like, oh, it's so charming. Look at how he's crushing
Yeah.
that little
Yeah.
tank.
I look forward to the movies of now and my son's generation looking like garbage so that I can rub it in his face because he cannot handle movies from before, like, I don't know, 1995 or something. He thinks they
That's
look like garbage and
hilarious.
look stupid, and they can't take him seriously. I'm like, just you wait, you little monster. Just you wait. And yeah, maybe he will. You're like, oh, Phantom Menace. That looks kind of cute. Look at it go. It's all rubbery and dumb. And oh gosh.
Although
Good
even
for
that, which version are you watching? Again, there's already 4 versions.
That's
of
right.
that.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of how it is in music too. If you listen to like Louis Armstrong or like Cab Calloway or something like that, and it's like the drums, you can hear almost nothing.
Mm.
You
Oh,
can hear
sure.
like, you can kind of hear a snare drum, like, you hear the bass, the guy playing the upright bass, and that sort of is the percussive feature in those things from the 20s or the 30s and the 40s. It's like boom, 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 and it's like thud, 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 ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da, and you kind of hear like a sap, 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 sap. Like you can't hear the cymbals, you can barely hear the bass drum, and you're like, if you updated that, how much of that tone is just
wait,
how
that's not what the song sounds like.
Yeah. That's just if you had like this modern snare drum or completely enhanced snare drum and you tried to replicate it and you put it high in the mix, it would be really it would be a peculiar experience.
God, drummers suck. Why are these even doing
I know.
I've wasted my life.
But
Despite the fact that it might be a little bit more accurate as to what it sounded like in the room.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing with 50s like doo-wop and stuff. Like doo-wop recorded with like good recording technology sounds totally corny, and that could be association too because it sounds this sounds like a fruit roll-up commercial from the 80s or something because it's when they started just overusing those songs and everything. But like any of those songs from that era, if you just magically made them recorded, quote unquote, well, they would sound. I think they would sound worse because it's part of the charm, just like Godzilla. Just like Godzilla. This is why doo-wop is like Godzilla.
Yeah, finally, cracked it. There's one little moment in these minutes that I do want to call out because I think it's very charming and I like it a lot. Indy's in that car full of Nazis and somebody hands him a tray of food and he uses that as his cover. He's like sitting down eating this little weird, I don't know if it's like a cracker or biscuit or something. And he takes a little bite of it as part of his cover. And then he gets up as the bad guys go by. He gets up and turns around and takes another bite of the biscuit when he didn't have to. It's not part of his cover at all. He just somehow
he's just hungry.
Those Nazis can make a good biscuit. I'm happy for him.
Yeah,
it's the little things.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually really like that scene too. He's like really, really kind of anxious. Man, God, he's a great actor. He's like really anxious and also blending in.
Yeah.
And like both
very fugitive that moment.
Yes. That's what it is. And you're like, I completely believe that he's like, oh my God, I got to get out of here and do a thing and quickly. And at the same time, you're like, oh, he just looks like a guy on the train who wanted to get his food.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's got a great line, too, where he's like, too many Nazis.
I wondered about that line. I think it's probably fine, but I was expecting you, Pete, to ask me if I hated it or to confirm that I hated it.
Yeah.
I
was expecting that too.
I mean, ask you about it.
He is in. Are we not in Germany at this? I forgot where the train actually is, but he's on.
We're not sure.
He's on
I
like
think
a,
we're in France.
a Nazi train. It's like
I
too
don't
many
think it says-
Nazis in this Nazi train full of Nazis.
And when would you not say too many Nazis? What's the limit, Indiana Jones? How many Nazis are you fine with?
Yeah, 3.
Weirdo. Yeah. But it does feel a little bit like, we've liked it in the past where Indiana Jones has had little quips about these Nazis. Although I think he's only had like one, hasn't he? Well, it was like, I hate these guys.
Yeah.
In The Last Crusade. That was like the good big one.
Right.
I appreciate that we hate different things about this movie.
It is nice. It brings us together. It makes us stronger.
What do you
But I don't
think
hate this. I think it's probably fine. I think it just sort of pales to better examples of that same line that we've already had.
And the lead up to this, there's another good indie shot there. But when he comes in the door to the kind of mess hall here, it's a good, like you're following him. He turns around and he looks kind of past the camera. You hear the sound come in first, and he's looking past the camera, and he's like backs up for a second because he's kind of stunned by what he sees. That's another good indie kind of Spielberg-y shot there. Where
although the payoff for me was weird on that, like I wasn't sure what he was shocked about.
Right. He
Was
like,
it just that there were so
they have
many
those
people,
biscuits. I love those.
I got here just in time.
But I did like the Spielberg reaction.
Everything's coming up Indy.
I've got a question. At the end of the minute, do we learn why Indiana Jones doesn't have any friends?
Oh,
Like, because he sort of doesn't seem to have any friends in life.
Yeah.
And we find it like this guy that just said, I wasn't going to hide in the hedge if my friend's in danger. And Indy immediately says, I was going to save all this stuff until I had to rescue you.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
like, why is he
God damn
being
it, Dad.
intentionally just a jerk? Like he's...
Yeah.
he's
It borders
is it
on
because
just sort of hero charm. Like,
Yeah.
Or is it-
exasperated about his immediate action circumstances.
Or
But
does he not
it
want
is
to show vulnerability? Like, does he not want to show Baz that he cares, like that he has feelings.
He does. I mean, he
of warmth.
seems genuinely pleased that Baz is there and alive. I think, doesn't he? Maybe
Yeah, he
not.
does.
Maybe he's
I
mostly
don't know.
annoyed.
I mean, he's surprised.
Yeah, maybe he's
definitely.
only annoyed.
It just seems like a weird response to someone that just said, "The reason I didn't stay hiding in the woods was because I was worried about you."
Maybe he's annoyed because with that line, Baz showed that he's the real hero.
Mm.
And Indy feels like he's stepping on his turf.
Well, so he really okay. So if you're Baz, do you stay in the woods the whole time? Are you like, well, Indy told me to stay in the woods. I should trust the guy. Like, would you trust Indiana Jones? If you're
I
Baz, would you stay in the woods and you'd be like, I mean, you know he's going to get into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And you also know he's going to use the Lance of Longinus to lock a door.
Right. After confirming that it's fake.
Right.
Yeah. So it would.
I think
you
I would stay in the
woods?
woods because he would. I would assume that Indiana Jones would be fine on his own. And Baz doesn't actually do anything to help Indy. Like Indy
No,
got
but Baz-
all the way here on his own.
Literally thinks he's dead. Like Baz seems genuinely shocked that he's alive.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Like
true.
I think at that point Baz was like, "Well, he's dead. I don't have any
I'm
reason to be
free
staying
from
here.
the orders he's given me. I can leave
My
these
life
woods.
debt is paid."
Yeah.
What do you think this is like in Raiders where Indy discovers Marion in the tent?
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, oh no, and he leaves her in the tent, and he's like, just stay here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, would you? And Marion doesn't trust him. She tries to get out on her own. She
He
tries
sort
to
of
get
removes-
Belloc drunk and escape on her own. So she's
sort of
leaving the woods too.
Because he
Yeah.
sort of removes your sense of agency in that situation.
Wait, who's like Baz?
Anybody's
doesn't-
like when he tells him like stay here in this what seems like a very dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Right.
He tells a lot of people to stay there in dangerous situations.
Although telling Baz to stay in the woods is different from leaving Marion in the tent. Baz is already
sure.
Baz isn't like in danger. He needs to
Yeah.
hide and stay out of trouble.
I would say that if you're in woods crawling with Nazis who are being bombed,
I'm not saying it's
By-
ideal.
Yeah.
you might be in some danger.
Better than being
right.
like, tied up, captured by one. I think.
Yeah,
That's true.
Well, what about Satipo? Yeah, he tells Satipo
Yeah.
to stay. Doesn't he tell Satipo? And he's like, if you insist, senor.
Well, then as soon as Satipo has a chance to not stay put and go off on his own and do something,
Look what happens.
How does that work out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? I was just reading William Goldman's book about Hollywood, and it was just like written in like 1982, I think. And he was talking about movie moments, like just kind of totally fake, almost take you out of the movie, like just coincidences, like that would never happen in real life, including when Indy just magically ends up in the tent where Marion is. It's like that would never happen in a million years. Oh God, what a big groan! But then immediately after that, he leaves her there, and that saves the entire thing. That like makes it an actually
Oh,
awesome
that's
kind
nice.
of amazing
That's
moment
brilliant.
that you wouldn't see in any
Yeah.
other movie.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Let's talk about Raiders more. Oh,
I don't even know. Like, what was he gonna do? Like when he left, I have to go back and think about what was it. He was gonna like in his mind he was gonna come back and rescue her.
I
like,
honestly didn't know if you were
af-
talking about Baz or Marion.
Yeah,
until you
me
said
neither.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Also, I have no idea why
but
Baz is
after
there in the first
when?
place.
After when? Like after the weekend?
Why?
Yeah, was he gonna
After,
like get the
like-
ark, and then
Yeah.
at what point in getting the ark out of that area was he gonna go back and rescue
I'd
Marion?
be like, oh, she's still probably in that tent. It's
be
like
back to
it's like
6 weeks
Tuesday.
later.
well, they're not
Yeah.
gonna hurt her after I've won. After I have the ark,
Right,
there's nothing,
right,
they're
right.
not gonna get anything out of it. I'll just go back in a week.
It was going to be like the taxi driver from Airplane. Cut at the end of the movie, cut back to Marion being like, I'll give him 10 more minutes.
Yeah, finally got a bit of bread over to her mouth with her foot.
Well, Pete, who has a hard time pronouncing antic.
I think it's
Well,
both
it
of
can
that
be
might
any
be both
Pete.
of us.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
it's
of
anybody.
us. But who knew Tom was going to be the guy who's like, what?
I wrote
got
it
it.
down and read it off a piece of paper. Look at me.
Why does Indy change into his lion taming outfit? He's on the Nazi train, right? Now, I understand that now they're sort of looking for him, and there's a saboteur aboard. and you're like, okay, you're like, but I mean, he is, and I understand he might have to get rid of that Nazi outfit with the hole in the back, the gun bullet hole in the back.
It's
That
still
gave
less
him away.
conspicuous than a lion tamer costume.
Yeah, but he's turning it, and I get that the movie is transforming. Like, all right, he's got his hat, he's now with Baz, and you're like, okay, so we're entering a new chapter of the movie now, where Indiana Jones is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah.
why would he do that on the train? I mean, wouldn't you just continue to wear the Nazi outfit and chew on a Nazi bar?
It's the part of the video game where you like pick up new inventory and you just automatically
Yeah.
put it on.
Right. And it
I
plays-
think that
plays
yeah,
a
I
little
think the
thing.
jacket has different
You pick up the
buffs and
Muramasa.
things.
Well, it's kind of
Yeah.
you just made not to turn everything into Star Wars, but it made me think about like, well, why did they change back into their street clothes when they got out of the trash compactor? Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
everybody's looking
why
for
did
them,
they
and they're
do
still
that?
on the Death Star. Like, why did they? I mean, they lost their hats. I think they left their hats on the table in the detention center, but
Oh yeah.
still, it's easier to get new hats. I think.
Yeah.
I have a fantastic question about all this that never occurred to me before. We see him, he's helping Baz. He's got the Nazi uniform on, and we cut back. He's got his Indiana Jones shirt on, and he's putting on the jacket and stuff. Was he wearing the Indiana Jones shirt under the Nazi
that.
uniform? And if not, is that part of the Indiana Jones uniform? Like, is it like
Is this
you
a
see
Nazi
the jacket,
shirt or
you
is
see the
this
hat,
Indy
you see the
shirt?
yeah. I mean.
It looks like an indie. It looks like the indie shirt.
I think it is. I think it is the
Yeah.
indie shirt. I'm just wondering
I think it is
if is it part and parcel with the jacket and the hat and everything. Like it has.
I
to
assumed
be,
it was all just in the bag. Like that's what's in the bag.
I guess and like the pants and the boots and everything. Like it starts to
He's
get
like
weird if you
Superman.
think about
It's
it.
like, yeah.
It is like Superman, but like he usually has all that on under his Clark Kent stuff. It's like I don't know. It's like is the belt the Indiana Jones belt? And are the shoelaces the Indiana Jones shoelaces?
Well, I thought that we would get the close up of his boots when he's Nazi boots. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
is he still wearing those from now on? Because they're kind of, I mean, let this not be mistaken for any kind of, approval or endorsement of Nazi anything.
Loud
But
and
like,
clear, Pete.
but they're kind of cool boots with a little kind of flap over thing. And so I was wondering, does he still have those?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume, just based on what kind of movies these are, that he will magically have his Indiana Jones boots coming up.
Yeah.
And I actually
Yeah.
don't know that, but I'm going to look for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep an eye on the shoes, everybody.
Yeah.
Which means that like Baz has been lugging. This is what I'm saying. It's not just a jacket and a hat. He's got like a pair of pants, maybe some underwear, a shirt, maybe his watch.
Oh wait, did Baz have the bag? Is that why they
Yeah.
got it on the train? Oh.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
they take that off him when they're interrogating him and going through his stuff, and there's a picture of Marion and everything, and
Okay.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
it's a
But
little.
why is
like,
Baz here in the first place? Like, why is Baz on this mission?
Because he didn't listen.
No, but I mean, why did he go to Germany?
Why did he
why
even
did
get
he
as far
go?
as the woods? Yeah.
Yeah, like why did he leave Cambridge or Oxford or wherever he is?
I mean, he says, that he and his friend were there to try to protect history or whatever. I guess, I'm assuming that he and Indy heard that this, burglary, this pillaging was happening, and they wanted to try to stop it. Although, I don't know what a...
Like it seems funny to bring a guy, and then as soon as you get to the place where you're going to do what you're going to do, you say, "Now wait in the woods."
Yeah. Go find a Keebler elf tree and go hide in there and make some more cookies.
Right.
Well, push my buttons. Do you think that Baz has like one of those addictive personalities? Like, had the Lance of Longinus been real, would he have lost his mind over that?
I'm just enjoying how many times you've managed to say Lance of Longinus in this episode.
Yeah, I thought we were
Yeah.
Is it? I don't. Is it the sword of Longinus, or is it?
No, it's
No, I think you just like
Lance is
saying
right.
Longinus.
I do. I love
Right.
saying Longinus.
Longinus.
Wait, what was I forgot the question already?
Is there
If
another?
it was
what's
real,
another-
would he have lost his mind over it? Is he just like addicted to the magical props?
Right. He's just like he was bound to lose his mind over something because he has an addictive personality. Whether it's like say he, if he found like a Thurman Munson baseball card, it's looking. It's like he's got it, and he finds one and he loses his mind. He's got to get one that's like in better condition, and then one that's like in mint condition, and then one that was never sold.
Well, that might be something kind of cool about the Antikythera that is not true about these other things, is that you kind of have to study it and figure it out, and it's weird, and you can't totally figure it out because you only have half of it or whatever. So it's like, it's something that could drive somebody nuts, like math does. I was driven nuts by math in like middle school. But I kind of like that about it, that it's like it's more of a, not more of a mystery than the other things, but it's there's more to figure out about it. It's because it's not a supernatural thing that just does stuff.
Right.
It's almost harder to understand.
Like you don't just grab it and light shoots out of it and makes something happen.
Yeah, exactly. You got to figure out, you got to meet the Antikythera halfway. But how do you do that?
Here's a question. So like so many people credit Indiana Jones with becoming archaeologists, and so many people credit Jurassic Park with becoming paleontologists. Mm-hmm. Do you think anybody will become an archaeologist because they saw Dial of Destiny?
Or a mathematician?
Wow.
Or a
mathematician.
Or a time traveler. I mean, we keep finding out that, we scoff at, some Star Wars things and stuff, and then we find out later that people who, when it hit them at 6 years old, changed their lives, and they loved it, and they took it with them.
But did this movie hit any 6-year-olds?
I don't know. I don't think.
Or was this made for us? Was this made for the old people?
Pretty much, I think.
That goes back to my overriding question about this show and this movie.
Like, why did it exist?
Why is it? I'm not sad that it's here. I just don't know quite why it's here.
Well, I mean, I think their main goal was just like, let's reestablish the franchise by making something. And they were trying to kind of go, not all appealing, they were trying to go a little bit broad and just have it be. I think in their head, I think they succeeded at what they wanted to do. Let's just make like a decent Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
But the audience has changed enough that like just a decent something doesn't just everything falls under the radar unless everything's either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. Mm-hmm. And so like, if this had come out a couple of years, if this had come out like 2 years after Crystal Skull, everybody would be like, Indy's back. Like, it's great. Like, but because there's so much build up and now it's like, and here's the thing, this is the load bearing movie that's got the whole, the whole franchise is resting on this, and all the spin-offs are not going to happen unless this movie is, breaks all box office records. It's like, whoa, just dial it back a little bit, huh?
Hey.
Yeah. I just have I hope I'm wrong, but to me, it's hard for me to watch this and see that it captures a young generation who fall in love with this character because they saw this movie.
Right. Well, I think
not be a thing that happens anymore. I don't know. Is that even a thing that happens
anymore?
Well,
hang on.
Do people have imaginations to capture? I don't know.
I was sort of under the impression that that's why the kid was in the movie.
Right.
We have some Indiana Jones for, this older crowd, and the dad's out there, the moms and the dad's out there, and then we also have, you sort of have an in the middle, the woman who kind of plants, I don't know what she is, 35 or something like that, or something like that,
Sure.
30, 35, 40,
34.
And then you have you have the kid. Who's whatever, like 12 or 14 or something like that, and I figured he was. I thought he was supposed to sort of rein in or bring in the adult new generation. It's kind of like he was a bit of a short round that you could identify with if you were part of some new generation.
Well, I've got a question for you to maybe get to that question, Jerry. What were the names of the 35-year-old woman and the 13-year-old boy?
That's mean.
I have no idea.
I know. That's not directed at being mean to you. I know. The movie. I feel like the movie doesn't make you care.
Yeah. No, I can. You know what? And that's it. I can't tell if My memory, because I'm an old guy who likes Indiana Jones, my memory is a sieve. Or
I
feel like
I think the
you're a
movie
35
industry is a little bit of a sieve. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
in what 81 and 84 and even like 89, like yeah, there are a lot of movies out that year. Everybody talks about like, those are fantastic summers for movies, but that meant there were like maybe 5 movies that you loved from that year. And like now it's like there's like a new movie. If you don't see it opening weekend, you're done.
Right.
You
Yeah.
already missed it. And so like there's no time to just like bask in a movie and be like, oh, I'm going to buy the Starlog issues about it. I'm going to get the comic book. I'm going to get the cards. It's going to be my life for about a year.
completely true.
Yeah. So it's just a
But
different
I feel like this is a
world.
little bit generic kid character. Like I feel like if you watch Temple of Doom for the first time today, you would remember Short Round, and you would remember that his name is Short Round.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't feel like you're
Well,
going to watch this and remember what the kid's name is.
I didn't remember there was a kid until you said that. When you said the kid, I thought you were talking about Fleabag, and I was like, no, she was like 40 though. She's not.
No, I mean, that could easily be one of the big problems with this movie. I'm assuming that's why they put the kid there. They didn't need the kid.
None of us. I think that none of us even knows what his name is at this
No.
point.
No.
We still don't
I
know
have
what his
no
name
I
is.
do,
idea
but
what
I'm not
his name
saying it
is.
just to go
I,
along.
Okay.
I don't know what his name is.
I've been talking to our good buddy Curtis, and he and I have been talking about this movie because I've been trying to get at, and I know I'm not trying to be mean, and I love that people love this
You
movie.
loved
and I'm
this
not trying
movie
to
when
be-
you saw it, Pete?
I did. I enjoyed
You
it a
came
lot
out
when
of
I
the
saw
movie
it.
happy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I did, and for some reason it's rubbed me the wrong way. But we were talking about what makes this different from like a Matt Damon Born Identity or like just a general action movie. And does this distinguish itself enough from a general action movie to be an Indiana Jones movie? Like, are there lots of this? Are there parts of this movie that could just be any action movie? And what parts of this movie are genuine? Oh, that's Indiana Jones.
That's a
That's a good
great question. Yeah. You know what? I think what's frustrating is if I line this up with like say a Jason Bourne movie, I'd be like the Jason Bourne movie's much better.
That's possible.
Because I feel
Not
like
on
this
any
movie's-
against like Raiders
But I feel like
or
this
whatever,
movie's
but
trying
like
to be Jason
this-
Bourne. Like I feel like
I
this
don't-
movie's sort of trying to do
I
that stuff.
I don't like that I say that or feel that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But that movie is probably a better constructed movie that makes more sense.
That's fine. That's not blasphemy.
I-
If you
but-
say it about Raiders, you're out of your mind. And nobody
But
likes
I
you
don't
anymore.
like being in that position. I don't like being in that position. I wish that wasn't the case.
But it'd be interesting to have a barometer, like an indie,
Yeah.
like one of your barometers, Jerry. But is this Matt Damon in this scene, or is this Indy?
Right.
Like, is this every character?
Well, I think
Is this a generic kid?
like the dressing of it, literally in this, like the jacket and the hat, but also the Nazis and the occasional shot, like I was talking about, like that stuff is that makes it at least nominally more, an indie movie and not. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen a Jason Bourne movie, so I don't know what. I have very little to judge it against.
But I mean,
What makes it not?
I guess insert Mission Impossible or insert.
I've never
just
seen a Mission
any kinda-
Impossible movie. Either. I don't watch a lot of
I know you've
action
seen
movies
James
because they're
Bond.
not
You've seen James
Indiana
Bond.
Jones. I've seen James Bond, yeah. But the line between James Bond and Indiana Jones is fairly thin.
Yeah, that's already sort of dim.
Yeah.
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 Well, but I have a question, Pete. What happened between when you first saw this and now?
I have no idea because I really enjoyed it. But I think part of it is I saw it with my buddy Sully and Sully's sons and my wife, and it was fun being with people, and I had no expectations for the movie, and then I walked out. I was like, that was fun. But then I think as soon as I was like, oh, I have to do a podcast about this.
Yeah.
I have to
that'll
start
do it
thinking
to you.
about this. Like it wasn't just a fun couple of hours. Suddenly this is like a life's calling, and it's not fun anymore.
I should say, since we keep bringing it up, as we record this, and this will date the podcast, but it was almost exactly a year ago that we all saw this movie in
Yeah.
the theater for the first time.
It took me.
tell
I
you,
saw
You
it
were at my
like
house a year ago.
I saw it like the last week that it was in theaters. It took me a long time to see it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Did you like? What were your feelings on we haven't asked anyone this yet. Like, what did you feel after you watched the movie?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was like exactly what it was like. Oh yeah, that was a good. And I had heard mixed mostly mixed to positive reviews. I think, nobody was just like, I hated that. People were just like, or like, oh, yeah, like somewhere between and
How many years did he get?
which totally, kind of fits where I felt about it. I was like, oh yeah, that was, I enjoyed those 2 hours. It's not like I'm not gonna, I don't have to relive it or make my life about it for a little. I mean, sorry, not to rub it in.
Must be
But,
nice.
Pete just said it's his life calling, and he hates it.
But it's weird because like I feel like after this movie sort of disappeared with a whisper right after it came out, and I haven't heard anybody say anything about this movie outside of this podcast since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Pete the retailer,
Yes.
it helped me navigate my life.
Turn left.
I was so looking forward to this movie. And, Pete and Tommy were like, okay, so what are you going to like, what are your expectations? And I was like, I think it's going to be fantastic. There's no way they're going to go through all this trouble and make a B movie. Like, not even just like, I'm not saying it's horrible, just like it's not going to even be mediocre or okay. It's going to be magnificent. And they kind of looked at me like I was nuts, like some animal in the zoo.
I stand by that.
Yeah, and so I'm asking you, was I
It had nothing
like,
to do with the movie.
does it, was I just like was I just smoking When You Wish Upon a Star?
Yeah.
Like, why, was I crazy to think that?
No, I mean you're hopeful, and it feels bad to say like, yeah, don't be so hopeful, but we have to come to terms with the fact that the older we get, then the more things we experience. Like nothing's ever going to recapture that same magic, and if it does, it'll be a surprise, and it's because we won't be expecting it.
That's a good way to look at it.
Anytime that we, go in expecting anything more than what the movie is going to bring us, anytime we bring any kind of cultural baggage to it, and I've had this experience with so many Star Wars projects now that I feel like I really, again, not to date the recording, but like we're in the midst of The Acolyte, which I had no expectations for. I was like, this looks totally like something that's not for me. And walking in with those expectations, I watched the first episode. I was like, I like that one a lot because I had no expectations. I wasn't taking notes. Yeah. Alex and I weren't even going to probably do any episodes on it. It was just kind of like, kind of like what you were just saying, Pete. Like, let me make this not my life's work for a little bit. Like, let me just exclude this from the dimension of stuff I have to be concerned about, and just go into it as an entertainment, and that's why I enjoyed it. And then of course, I was like, now I have to like focus and study. I have to form an opinion on this live
right.
as I do it.
Something clever to say.
But like the ones that I had the lowest expectations for are the ones that I end up like enjoying the most, because it's like it's not trying to hold anything up. I'm just appreciating it for what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jerry, to your point about, people, they're just going to make a good movie. This time they're going to do it right. They're not going to go through all this trouble and spend all this money. The truth is that the vast majority of movies are bad.
Yeah.
Like almost every movie made is bad. But the ones we like because they're awesome. And, we probably go to see them because they're made by somebody who already made a good movie.
But I like that in Jerry's mind, when a movie's bad, it was because they set out to make a bad movie.
Yeah. They didn't
like someone sat down and said, let's make this just a little bit not good. Let's make
there was one guy there was like, well, or we could make it kind of lackluster. I don't know. We could go that route.
Guys, I got a great idea. Let's cut some corners.
Yeah.
I think when you look at, like you take the kid that nobody remembers his name, and you're a little bit like, okay, they're filming this, they're watching this, they're doing this, and you're kind of like, wasn't somebody like, I'm not entirely sure why this kid is in here. Like, he needs to do a thing. And they're like, maybe they did. Maybe they're like, okay, make him fly the plane and save everybody at the end. That way the kid has a purpose.
I think that kind of thing is hard to recognize while you're making the movie, I think. Or if it's just in script form or something. I don't know.
Sure.
It's a lot of little pieces that come together.
I'm just pounding my fist on the table. That's it.
I know.
That's all I'm doing. I understand what you're saying.
It all definitely has it suffers definitely from too many hands, kind of adding their little thing and trying to make sure that it matches whatever demographic. And, I'm not going to be, one of these angry YouTubers who's saying that, they're ruining everything by doing all this. But, the movies definitely do suffer from being kind of, having too many corporate hands on it, I think, and not allowing people to have
movie by committee
enough, freedom. And the exceptions are when they let somebody kind of like run with it a little bit and better, more, well, I don't know, box office wise, but better, critically better projects happen. And so it's I don't know. I don't know if that's a lesson they're going to learn or if that's just a thing, but it's walking in knowing that those are the kind of, that's already a given. It's like, all right, well, this is going to be something that's kind of had all the edges sanded down because it's made by a committee for Disney. So it's not going to be, as it's like you're walking into like an Olive Garden or something. You're not expecting this is going to be that crazy thing like order. I had this once in Rome and it was great, and then you ordered at Olive Garden and it's like, I guess it's not, you're not going to get the same thing, but you have to understand that before you start, and then you won't be as disappointed. You'll just be like, that was pretty good. That cacio e pepe.
Well, do we have anything else for these minutes? We've taken down the entire movie. But if we don't have anything else for these minutes...
Wait a minute.
What, Jerry? I'm trying to wrap up the episode. What's going on?
Well, there's the old machine is bumping, dusting off and making noise and
mechanism. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a Lance of Longinus in the middle of it.
I'm picturing it like an arrow with a note on it, but it's the Lance of Longinus just stuck into your wall. And it's got a little note that you ripped off.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Solve this anagram.
Uh-oh.
Joined is Anna today's infidel.
Indiana Jones has me in hell.
Wow.
Wow, you're very close.
Wow.
How did you know? What, did you use AI?
Absolutely not.
It's Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
We have a beep, beep, beep,
Oh.
beep,
Oh,
beep,
beep, beep.
bonus round. Geckos argue.
Wait, what?
Geckos argue.
That's the name of the kid.
Oh, that's
like if you unmix those, that's the name of the
Right.
kid.
Dude, if they called the kid Gecko, we'd all be talking about I liked Gecko. I liked how he flew the plane.
That's true. No, absolutely we would have. Yeah.
I liked Gecko. It is George Lucas.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that.
Look at that. All right.
That was fun.
Yeah, we had
Thank
a
you,
good
Professor
time.
Christy Porter. We can make anything fun. Speaking of Pete the Retailer, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You made this fun.
This very fun. Yeah.
I try.
And not just here, but also on your Star Wars Minute, your Alphabetical, your ABCDTOS, your ABC Devo, maybe even your ABCD TNG. Who knows?
What?
I mean, it's hard to... I can tell you that this episode is going to post months after we're recording this. So I
No,
can't
it's a race.
but I know both a very slow race between two shows that are going at a very lackadaisical pace.
Which of the two shows is more timely and topical?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, we're speaking of Pete and I and our friends John and Joe. We've done ABCDTOS, where we discuss all these Star Trek episodes of the original series in alphabetical order, all the way from All Our Yesterdays to Wolf of the Fold. And now we either are or are going to or just did start doing the same.
I mean,
with,
if we
Next
just did,
Generation.
then this is a serious problem. You guys are really taking too long. If we covered
Yeah,
all
really,
of Next
we just wrapped
Generation
it up.
before you guys
Yeah.
start launching these, but
We just posted yesterday's Enterprise.
How long till we get
before this?
ABCQ?
that'll
Oh.
somewhere in the middle of that, right? Or should
Oh,
we?
yeah.
You think we just should have done the Q
ABC
episodes from things?
Oh, I was
yeah.
thinking ABC Quark.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah, we got to get Joe
Have to wait.
Dater.
Right. We have to wait for another April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
It's like Brigadoon or something where it only shows up.
Thankfully, that show's not very long, so that should work out. But thank you, and thank you everybody else out there who's listening, and thanks for putting up with this. And share your thoughts and feelings about these minutes and this movie over at the Indiana Jones Minute and the Listeners Crusade group over on Facebook and wherever else we're online. I'm sure there are other places. I just can't think of what they are right now.
Might not even be around anymore when we release this.
I think, all the companies have gone out of business and been renamed, and who cares?
Yep.
But yeah, come back here next week for the next 3 minutes of Dial of Destiny right here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Antikythera. Antikythera.
I like how it's like your mouth gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Just think of your aunt, Antikythera.
God, he says it so
It's
well.
me, Antikythera.
No bird of grace ever lit on my Antikythera.
Sap, sap, soup, sap, soup, sap, 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 soup, sap, soup, sap, sap, boom, sap, boom, sap, soup, sap, sap, boom, sap, boom, sap, soup, sap. Ka-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum-ba-da. Ka-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum-ba-da. Ka-dum-bum-bum-bum-ba-da. Ka-dum-bum-bum-bum-ba-da.